little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. Hi there, how are all of you doing? Doing fabulous here today because I get to show you another pattern. This one I call the Mandafleur blanket pattern. Now, even though I call it a blanket pattern, this could very well be a circular shaped shawl or a tablecloth or really what have you. I love this design and how it just keeps going and growing at a sort of exponential rate. And it is, once you get the hang of it, it is pretty darn easy. And for this particular project, I used Lion Brand's Pound of Love, one of my go-to favorites, and it is Lion Brand that is sponsoring today's video. Thank you ever so much, Lion Brand, for your continued support. Speaking of support, I want to thank all of my testers for helping make this pattern possible, which will be available on my Etsy store. Link in the description box down below to both the yarn as well as the pattern. And the colorway that I used is Elephant Gray. Now, I really do like how this yarn works up, especially because of the yardage. Now, because we're working in a circular format, you are going to need quite a bit. And considering that this particular yarn has over 1,000 yards per skein, works for me. It is a weight of 4. It is acrylic, so it is machine washable and dryable. No matter what you do with it, it works out fine. So, also, with this particular piece, I used a size J, which is a 6mm size crochet hook, which of course you can use whatever works best for you. That being said, let's get started, shall we? Alrighty, so beginning with round 1, as per usual, I'm going to start off with a slip knot and a chaining of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, you can do the magic ring method if you choose to do so. That's totally fine. What I like to do is after chaining 4, I like to slip stitch into that first chain to create a ring. And then we're going to work our stitches into that ring. Now, for round 1, I like to start off by chaining up 2. Now, that does not count as an actual double crochet. That is, however, going to give us the height that we need for the remainder of our double crochet stitches. And we're going to need 20 of them. It seems like a lot, but trust me, this works. So we're going to go in and do 20 doubles in this little old ring. If you need to, you can up your initial chain to 5 chains for your ring. But again, this works. So I'm going to do my doubles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we are halfway there. So yeah, so far working out well. And then of course you could always shift your stitches a little bit, a little bit more together. So we got the 10. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Now, it's important, so I am going to double count. And again, this initial chaining up of 2 does not count as an actual double, but the top, that's what we're going to be going into in just a bit. So we have our chain 2, so then we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. Perfect. Okay, so from here, going to do a slip stitch into the top of this first double crochet right here. There we go. Scooch right into there, and that is the end of round 1. Okay, round 2, all we're going to do is double all of our stitches. So we're going to go from 20 to 40 double crochets. Again, going to start off by chaining up 2. And again, that is going to give us the height, but it's not going to count as an actual stitch. Now, the reason why I do this, actually, is because I have found that for whatever reason, unbeknownst to me, if my initial chaining of 2 is counted as a double crochet, or worse yet, a chaining of 3, then there's this like weird, obvious sort of wibbly-wobbly gap, and it's most disconcerting. So I like to just have this for giving me the height. And then going into this first stitch right there, 2 double crochets. There we go. And then 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around for a total of 40 doubles. And then, yes, and then we get to get into the fun stuff with the actual patterning, incorporating eyelets and such. So what I'm going to do is do my 2 doubles into each stitch, as you can see, all the way around, and then I will meet back up with you for the end of round 2, and then we get to get into the good stuffs. All right, so I'm gonna finish up round 2, and I will see you shortly. All right, so almost done with round 2, and as per usual, going to do a double count. Now, I just have this 1 stitch left there, but going to bypass this chaining up of 2. So then it is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. Perfect. So I just need 2 more doubles. Right into this stitch right here. And then we can do the slip stitch and then continue on to round 3. So into the top of this double right here. There we go. Scoot right into there, and there you are. Now, this does appear to be a little wibbly wobbly, but it will actually lay flat. So there you are. And that is the end of round 2. Okay, so round 3, we're going to start to incorporate some eyelets. And at the same time, they are going to be our increasing. However, we aren't going to be increasing any actual doubles. We're just incorporating some eyelets to act as our increasing. So to begin with, start off by chaining up 2, and then double into the next 5 stitches. So again, this does not count as a double crochet. You're going to see it, but it's not going to be very noticeable to anybody other than you. So going into this first stitch right there with a double, and then 4 more for a total of 5. Okay. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we are. All right, then chain 2, and then into the very next stitch. We're not going to be skipping any stitches. No, into this very next stitch, 5 more doubles going across. So we're increasing some space there, but we're not actually increasing any of the doubles. So we're going to do 5 and then another space and so on and so forth all the way around. So we're going to end up with 8 groups of 5 doubles separated by chain 2 spaces. So we've got our group of 5, chain 2, and then again into the very next stitch, double, and 4 more for a total of 5. So far, really easy and straightforward. Don't worry, it gets a little bit more complicated when we start introducing new petals. So we've got our 5, chain 2, and then into the next stitch, double, and 4 more for a total of 5. Chain 2, and 5 more doubles. Pull out a bit more yarn. Okay, 1 more. Chain 2, 5 more doubles. Now, this may not seem like, an important thing, but I would strongly suggest counting very, very much, because I can't tell you, while working up my practice piece, I made a bunch of mistakes, and they did not seem readily apparent. However, when I got a number of rounds in, the mistake, I needed to do a lot of frogging, like several rounds back as a result, and it was very disheartening, and I wish to spare you that pain, so I would strongly suggest count, yes, because, what was it, once cut, twice measured kind of thing. It'll save you some grief in the long run, just as long as you know that you do have the proper stitch count. Okay, so we've got our 5, chain 2, 5 more doubles. It's 2, 3, 4, and that last one is 5. And then last but not least, chain 2, and then slip stitch into the top of this first double, right into there. Slip stitch. And there you are. And so, it will want to be a little bit, buckling and a little bit warbly, but it will lay flat if you coax it into there. It is not something that is going to be too worrisome, believe you me. So yeah, we still have 40 double crochets. Now they're just, into groups, and they're separated by chain 2 spaces. So with that being said, let us proceed to round 4. Okay, round 4. So for round 4, we're going to start to decrease our existing petals, and we're going to increase with new petals in the chain spaces. So it's all about an equilibrium, a balance, if you will. So right now we are in the very end. We need to scoot over one. So slip stitch into the next stitch, then chain up 2 to give us the height, and double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So this first one here, right in the base. So that's 1 and 2 and 3. So for this round, we're going to be skipping the first and the last of our double crochets for the old petals. Then chain 2, and we're going to incorporate a new petal in the chain 2 space. So after chaining 2, 3 doubles into the chain space for the beginning of a new petal. Chain 2, skipping the first stitch, double crochet into the next 3. Okay, chain 2, skip that last double there, and then into the chain space, 3 doubles. Chain 2, skip the first, double into the next 3. Chain 2, skip the last, 3 doubles into the chain space, and so on and so forth for the rest of this round. Now, right now, the rounds are pretty quick to get through, so I'm going to stick with you for now. And then, at some point, I'm going to be like, okay, just keep doing what we're doing for the rest of the round. So from here, skip the first. We already chained 2, so skip the first, double into the next 3. Because also after a while, you will get the hang of this, and you'll see where it's going, and you won't even need me. It'll be old hat to you. So from here, chain 2, skip the last, 3 doubles into the chain space. There we are. Chain 2, skip the first, double into the next 3. There we go. Pull out a little bit more yarn. Okay. Chain 2, 3 doubles in the chain space. Chain 2, skip the first, double into the next 3. I could do that better, couldn't I? Let's get that without that extra ply in there. There we are. That's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. Skip that last one. 3 doubles into the chain space. Chain 2. Skip the first. Double into the next 3. chain 2, skip the last 3 doubles into the chain space, chain 2, skip the first, double into the next 3, chain 2, skip the last 3 doubles into the chain space, chain 2, skipping the first, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first double that we did. And there you go. So as you can see, we have our existing petals, and they're going to be getting smaller. And then we have our new petals, and they are going to be getting bigger. Well, that being said, that is the end of round 4. Okay, round 5. So this round is going to be what I call a junction round, because these existing petals, well, we are going to sort of nip them in the bud, pun intended, and we're going to expand these ones out. So these are not going to be going any further. So to do that, we're going to begin by slip stitching into these next 2 stitches and then into the chain space. So slip and slip and slip. So we're going to start in this chain space right here. All right, now from here, start off by chaining up 2 and into the chain space 2 double crochets. There we are. Then double into the next 3. Okay, and then 2 doubles into the chain space. There we are. So technically we have 2, 4, 6, 7, because again, this little chain 2 does not count, so we've got 7. Then from here, chain 2 into the next chain space. We're just going to skip over these 3. Into the next chain space, 2 doubles. And then double into the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Into the chain space, 2 doubles. Chain 2, skip these 3, and then into the next chain space, 2 doubles. And this is how we're going to do the rest of round 5, by increasing the growing petals a total of 4 doubles, 2 doubles on each side, and sort of nullifying the old existing petals. And the petals that are growing that we have here, these petals are not going to be getting any wider because we're going to incorporate new petals in the following round. But for right now, we have to make these growing petals their widest. So chain 2, skipping these 3, 2 doubles in the chain space, double in each of the next 3 stitches, that's why I call it a junction round, because the petals that are growing, well, they're not going to be getting any bigger, and we're going to incorporate new ones. So it's sort of like, well, a junction. You know, it's a decision point, because also as you are working your piece, and if you want your petals to come to points, well, it's sort of a decision that, you know, you have to make. It's like, you know, do you want to keep adding more petals, more of these tiers of petals, or do you want to stop? Totally up to you. Technically, you can stop at any time, but I just like to throw out the information for you, should you choose to use it. Okay, so we've got those. Little bit more yarn. See, we're making some good progress here. We're getting there. Okay, so from here, chain 2. Come on. Thank you. Skipping those 3, 2 doubles in the next chain space. Okay, double in the next 3. Two doubles in the chain space. Chain 2. Skip these 3 doubles. 2 doubles in the next chain space. Double into each of the next 3 stitches. Okay, 2 doubles in the chain space. Chain 2. Skipping these 3. 2 doubles in the chain space. Double into each of the next 3. Okay. 2 doubles in the chain space. Chain 2. And it is at this point that we have reached the end. So after chaining 2, then slip stitch into that first double that we created right there. And there you go. So this is the end of round 5. So like I said, it's at this point, sorry, I'm trying to do this justice here. It is at this point that you can decide, you know, do you want to stop or do you want to keep going? Because our existing petal right here came to a nice point, and there you are. Or you could keep going, which means that these petals that we're growing, well, they're not going to get any wider because we have to incorporate new petals into those eyelets. So whichever direction it is that you decide, you know, to go about, well, that's totally up to you. However, we are going to keep going. Alrighty. Okay, round 6. Now, we just did our junction round because it is the end of the old petals, and we need to have new petals now, right? So we are going to do that. But what I want to make as clear as I can make it is that after doing the junction round, the rest of the pattern, it basically tells you what to do. And what I mean by that is it's more of a formula than a set pattern, because the decreasing of the existing petals and the increasing of the new petals is it's a formula, and how it works. So basically, we're going to be shifting over one with a slip stitch. So slip stitch into that next stitch, chain up 2 for the height, and then double crochet into that first stitch and into every stitch until we have one left, because we're going to skip that one just like we skipped this one when we did our slip stitch. So we've got 3, 4, and 5. Skipping this last one here, chain 2 into the chain space, 3 doubles, chain 2, skip the first, double into the next, and into every stitch, but the last one, we're skipping that one. So yeah, right now we're doing groups of 5. But as you keep going, there will be more stitches because the petals are going to keep growing and growing and growing. But the rate of increase and decrease, that is the same. That's what I'm trying to impress upon you. So chain 2, skipping that last stitch, going into the chain space with 3 doubles. Chain 2, skipping the first, going into the next, do our 5 doubles, alrighty, get these little tangly bits. There we go. Okay. Scooting right along, footloose and fancy free. Chain 2. Skipping that last one, going into the chain space with 3 doubles. Okay. Chain 2. Skipping the first, going into the next, going across, skipping the last. So I got 3, 4, and 5. Chain 2, skip that last one, going into the chain space with 3 doubles. Chain 2, skipping the first, going into the next 5, skipping the last. Chain 2, skip the last, going into the chain space with 3 doubles. Chain 2, skipping the first, going into the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. More yarn. Chain 2, skip the last one, going to the chain space with 3 doubles. chain 2, skipping the first, going to the next 5. And as far as what I was talking about, the formula, if you will, it will become more apparent in the following row and in subsequent rounds, because we'll have a rate of increase and decrease. You know, this, yes, it is an increase, but it's like, well, it's not quite what I mean, but it'll make more sense as we go on. So from here, after chaining 2, skipping this last one, 3 doubles into the chain space. Chain 2, skip the first, going into the next 5. Okay, that's 3. Getting there. And 4. And 5. Chain 2. Skip the last one. 3 doubles into the chain space. And we have reached the beginning. So going to chain 2, skip that one, and then into the top of this first double, slip stitch, and there you go. That is the end of round 6. So as you can see, these existing ones, well, yeah, they're going to continue to get smaller, and these are going to continue to get bigger, bigger, bigger. All right, so let's press on. Okay, round 7. The rate of increase and decrease will become a little bit more apparent in this round. So what we're going to do is, again, we need to slip stitch over 1. Like so. Chain up 2. Come on, there we go. And then double crochet, three doubles, because we need to skip this last one. So in this case, it is 3 doubles. There we go. And then chain 2, skipping that last one into the chain space, 2 doubles, because we're not starting a new one, we are just adding on to the new one. So 2 doubles, double your way across these 3, and then 2 doubles into the chain space, chain 2, skipping the first, doubling into the next, working your way across, skipping the last. So we've got our 3, chain 2, skip this last one, and then grow this one out. So into the chain space, 2 doubles, and then double into each stitch, two doubles in the next chain space. Okay, chain 2, skipping the first and the last, but doing doubles in the ones in between. Chain 2, skipping that last one, into the chain space, 2 doubles. Okay. double into each of the doubles. Two doubles in the chain space, and so on and so forth. So basically, how it works is with the increasing ones, we are increasing, as I mentioned before, we're increasing 2 stitches on either side, a total of 4 stitch increases for the new petals. The old ones, we're only decreasing 2 stitches on either side. Now the reason is because we still need to increase the overall circumference of our circle, right? So that's why the increase is greater than the decrease. And the two of them work in tandem with each other so that, you have one growing, you've got one shrinking, while the one that's growing grows just a little bit more each time so that we can keep on keeping on with the overall shape of our circle so that it doesn't buckle and warp and get all wibbly wobbly timey wimey. So that is what I'm going to do for the rest of this round. I'm just going to keep at it in the same fashion. So let's proceed. Okay, so we just worked on our growing petal. Let's shrink this one down. Chain 2, skipping the first, doubling into the next 3, because we're skipping the first and the last. Okay, chain 2, skipping that last one into the chain space, 2 doubles. Double into each of the next 3. Two doubles into the chain space. Chain 2, skip the first, double into the next 3. Chain 2, skip the last, 2 doubles into the chain space. Almost had it. There we go. So I got my 2 doubles in the chain space, then double into each of the next 3. There we are. Then 2 doubles into the next chain space. Chain 2, skipping the first, doubling into the next 3. Chain 2, skipping the last, 2 doubles in the chain space. Double into each of these stitches. Two doubles in the chain space. Chain 2. And we're getting there. We're getting there. Skipping the first. Double into the next 3. The next round, I promise you, is going to be a lot easier. So chain 2, skip the last, 2 doubles in the chain space, double into each of the next 3. Two doubles in the chain space, chain 2, skip the first, double into the next 3, and skip in the last. chain 2, skip that last one, 2 doubles in the chain space, double into each of the next 3 stitches, pull out more yarn as needs be, and we're almost there. So I got my 2, got the 1, 2, and 3, 2 doubles into the chain space. All right, we've reached the end. So chain 2 and slip stitch into that first double that we created. And there you are. So that is the end of round 7. And on the next round, we're going to have another junction round because these petals right here, well, they're not going to get any smaller. So we're going to have eyelet spaces right on top, and these are going to hit their maximum width. So let's get to it. Okay, so we're on round 8, which is, like I said, it's going to be another junction round where we're going to eliminate these existing petals and just have eyelets on top, and we're going to expand these growing ones out one step further. So going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches because this is ostensibly 3. So slip stitch and slip stitch and slip stitch into the chain space as well. So now we're going to have to grow out our petals here, 2 stitches on either side. So first we need to chain up 2 to give us the height, then into the chain space 2 doubles, and then double our way across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 more in the chain space. So we've got 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, then 2 more doubles into the chain space. Okay, and then chain 2, skipping over these 3, going into the next chain space with 2 doubles. And double into the next 7 stitches, followed by another 2 in the chain space. And that is really all there is to it for the rest of this round. We're just increasing the growing petals. We are nipping in the bud the old petals, and we're going to get ourselves ready for the next tier should we choose to keep going. It's totally up to you. That's why it is a junction. It's a conjunction junction. What's your function? All right, so we've got our 2, our 7, and our 2. And then we chain 2, skipping these 3, going into the next chain space with 2 doubles. And then work our way across the next 7, adding another 2 in the chain space. And that is really all there is to it for the rest of the round. I know, I keep saying that. I feel like a broken record, and I do apologize, but I'm one of those people that learns best through repetition. Okay, we did our 7, then 2 more into the chain space. Chain 2, skipping those 3, and then working on another petal with 2 doubles in the chain space. Double into the next 7, adding 2 doubles in the chain space, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rest of this round off camera because I think you got it, and I feel like I'm a bit rambling here, but hey, you know, it's part of my deal. All right, and then 2 doubles into the chain space. There we go. And just keep at it in that fashion. So yeah, I'm going to keep going around and around until we are near the end. So I will meet back up with you around here, and I will see you shortly. Okay, so I'm almost done with round 8. I did my 2, my 7, and then my additional 2. All I need to do now is just chain 2 and slip stitch. It's that easy. So chain 2 and slip stitch to the top of my first double. And there you are. And so this being a junction round, well, you could either end it because our old petals, they came to a nice point, or you could keep going by adding in the beginnings of new petals in the eyelets and decreasing the old ones. And you could just keep going and going and going if you wanted to. Well, there you go. Alrighty, my dears, so that is going to conclude part 1 of the Mandafleur blanket. Really hope that you're enjoying this so far, and if you are, please give a little thumbs up button down below. You know that I appreciate your appreciation as always. And I extend my appreciation to both Lion Brand for sponsoring today's video. Thank you very much. And to my testers once again for helping make this pattern possible. Thank you ever so much. Links are in the description box as per usual. And you know what to do until next time, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. Stay tuned for part 2. Have a great day, everybody, and bye for now.